Libras, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for March 7th through the 13th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Libra, this week, very transformative. As you might imagine, we've got a solar eclipse here Tuesday and Wednesday involving that south node. So the south node eclipses are all about releasing any old energies and over-under extremes about a particular area of life so that we can go into the conscious life path, which is the north node, in a much more healthier sense. So the north node energy will be stronger at the end of the month, but here, this early part of the month, this spiritual liberation can set the foundation for that through that acceptance, which leads to releasing. So let's go and look at this for you in your chart. You've got this eclipse is actually happening right on the cusp between Aquarius and Pisces. So it is involving two houses. I think it's going to be mostly pulling on the Aquarius side of it, but we will likely see both. Now on the Aquarius side, you guys have had the sun in your fifth house. Okay, this is the house of self-expression. It's the house of creativity, playfulness, fun. And so you've had a lot of awareness here, although it may have been in a very uncertain area lately with the sun going over Neptune. But this has been an area of focus. And I think that focus is just coming to this culmination now with this eclipse. And it's really about understanding that there might be some over or under extremes with the self-expression or with your interests in life, your playfulness, your creativity, your inner child. Whatever might feel like, because it's very emotional, it's very internal with the south node, whatever might feel like an over or under extreme with these areas, it's good to be aware of that and to accept them. And it's through that acceptance we naturally come to the greater freedom that arises from it, because through acceptance comes releasing. And that's essentially what the south node is, releasing any old perspectives, old energies involving that fifth house. Now this is also involving the sixth house for you because you've had the south node transiting this part of your chart for the past couple of years. And so here you've been coming to balance with the daily work, the daily activities, anything in your immediate environment that has to do with controlling and getting things in their perfected state. But whatever those over and under extremes are with that, which might be like over perfection or whatever, it's being aware of that too. Okay, and I think it's through that then you come to this healthy balance and peace with both of these areas, so that you can have healthier sense of self-expression, playfulness, and also a healthier sense of perfection and having a good sense of self-improvement along the life journey. So that's going to be the strong point here, and a lot of the aspects that are forming this week are going to be associated with this eclipse. So we'll go ahead and break this down one by one. And starting here on Monday, we've got the sun sextiling up to Pluto. So this is coming off the weekend, and there might be, it's a minor aspect in the sense that there might be some new insights, there might be some shifting or something to where coming into the week, you might be willing to change that self-expression or that fifth house stuff, whatever it might be for you. By the way, the fifth house is also the house of children. It's also the house of romance, of creativity, and anything else that is either important to us in life or we create. All right. So with that, there's this, willingness to change, and that's great. And I think that's a good way of setting the stage for this solar eclipse. It could also be a willingness to changing your ideas or your communication skills or abilities, which has been Pluto in that third, changing your mind, your perspective. So that's good, starting the momentum. Now also, as we approach that solar eclipse, we do have this opposition between the sun and Jupiter. And this is the opposition that's really the crux to the whole thing, because Jupiter has been retrograde very close to that north node, suggesting the fact that this whole life path has been shifting for you to connect now for the next 2 years, but now slowly into either groups or community or friends or your ideals, your visions, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams. This is all the 11th house stuff. And although a lot of that is reflective, with Jupiter retrograde, and I think this will be an area that will be more highlighted at the end of the month once we get closer to that lunar eclipse. In order to do that in a healthy sense, we do have to come to acceptance here of these fifth house self-expressive and sixth house routine energies. Okay, and this balancing point between Jupiter and the sun is all about realizing too that what the community needs, what the world needs, is for you to have a healthy form of self-expression. And in order for you to have good, healthy form of self-expression, it is about pursuing something that is greater than yourself. So when you find that middle path, when you find that balance, it helps neutralize, helps balance out this opposition here. And it's actually not a horrible opposition. Jupiter's a benefic, so sometimes it could actually be quite optimistic. But whatever it is, you do want to stay nice and balanced with that. So after that eclipse, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Wednesday, we start to have some planets changing sign, one of which is involving your ruler Venus. So Venus is actually going into that 5th house. So I think you have been probably also focused on home, family, your health lately, but now you can really enjoy and connect to that self-expression. Venus coming into the 5th, where it's very transformative right now, you can actually probably from the eclipse, for one reason or another, you might be seeing the beauty, you might be seeing the enjoyment of creative self-expression, all right? Tapping into that inner child. So that's great for the next few weeks with Venus here. You can really enjoy that. Now the sun's also going to be shifting into that 6th house of Pisces this middle part of the week. So there's more awareness now shifting from the self-expression and going into more of how you can ground and take care of the daily stuff. And I think that's a great energy, a great way for you to gain that prana, which is the sun, that energy, that motivation, that life force through taking care of those daily tasks in that healthy way, of course. Now Mars is also changing. Mars is going to go into your 2nd house of Scorpio. So it's been a perhaps motivating time for about the past month with Mars in your sign. But now Mars is going into your 2nd house of your values. Now this can be your physical values such as finances, assets, material values, which is an area that is very grounded for you. At least it's important for you to take that patient, stern, mature approach to those areas. You've got motivation, you've got drive. And if it isn't on a physical level, then it's just, really pursuing whatever is your values in life in that sense. Because usually for you Libras, your values are a little bit more on the watery side, the deeper side, because it's all in Scorpio. All right. So whatever that might be, there's good drive and motivation to pursue those things that are important to you there. Now, as we approach the weekend, Thursday and Friday, we do have the sun then going over Chiron, suggesting that there is some healing taking place with, if you are feeling any doubts or insecurities about the routine, the health, the diet, the daily activities, the work environment. It's good that you have the sun here. It can illuminate this. It's also helping us all heal our self-expression too, and also helping you heal your sense of community or your ideals and visions, since the sun rules that 11th house of yours. So it's great to see that and be open to healing here as we approach the weekend. Mercury is conjoining up to Neptune as well during this time, so there might be some uncertainty, there might be some doubt involving the creativity, involving the self-expression. Nothing new because you've already had the sun over here. But with Mercury, the more willing you are and the more open you are to going into the unknown, then this can be very intuitive, in fact. And that confusion actually turns into peace and presence with that, which is really accessing this deep spiritual you, which has been Neptune in that 5th house. Jupiter trining up to Pluto is actually very nice in this whole mix. Jupiter is actually very well aspected for all of this. Well, Pluto is, for that matter, because there's been this, this push and pull here at the nodes with all these planets, but in Jupiter's well placed in this. Now, this is a support for change and a support for seeing things in a new light. And I think by the weekend or approaching the weekend, there's a willingness to change on some level, probably on the more internal level, because Jupiter's retrograde, but change so that you can actualize, again, this life path of community, of groups, of your ideals, visions for the future, things larger than self, whatever it is for you personally, and if it's more introverted, it might be more on the progressive, innovative side of things. So in either case, it's nice, and there's a positive support here, and it's probably from a change to your perspective, which is Pluto in the 3rd. Now to top off the week, we've got the sun going over the south node in that 6th house of yours, so there are insights involving what is coming to peace with the daily or work stuff. Okay, and that's very illuminating. In fact, the sun shines that light. We can see very deeply what it is that might need to be transformed. Again, not in a rational sense, but in an inner conscious sense. And it's through that we can come to that spiritual liberation, freedom, which again is propelling you into this new life path direction. All right, Libra, so have an excellent week. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you all next week.